In this video, I let artificial intelligence control what I build in Minecraft. AI has been a huge subject for years, but recently it became even bigger. With AI tools like ChatGPT taking the internet by storm, I wanted to know if ChatGPT can actually teach me how to build in Minecraft. For those who don't know what AI is, it's basically the ability of computers or machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, like learning, problem solving, and decision making. But is it actually good at building? Well, that's what we're going to find out in this video. To begin with, I am going to create a new world and see where I spawn. And we got the Badlands. So now it's time to launch ChatGPT and ask if it can give me one thing to build with a step-by-step guide. After waiting for a few seconds, it came up with steps. Step 1. Gather materials. Step 2. Choose a location. Step 3. Clear the area. Step 4. Lay the foundation. And this is where I ran into my first problem. Well, it did tell me to make sure my base is large enough, it didn't tell me how much it should be. After all, I wanted to control exactly what I built. So I asked it what size it recommends and it told me it should be at least 5 by 3. I followed the instructions and ran into another minor problem. The inside was only 1 block wide, so I figured it probably meant that it should be 5 by 3 from the inside, which made more sense. Now that step 4 is complete, it's time to move to step 5, which is adding the walls. Luckily, it told me how high it should be. Step 6, add a door. Step 7, create a roof. And just like the base, it told me what type of roof I should build. Step 8, fill in the gaps. I did not have any, so I skipped. Step 9, add windows. I'm glad it told me to use stained glass because I'm not a fan of the full glass blocks. And finally, step 10, furnish the inside. I did what it told me and used wooden planks to create a floor, placed a bed and a chest, and additionally added a few torches. And this is the final result.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck in my opinion. I mean,
honestly, this isn't that bad. So let's ask it for more builds. For my next build, I moved to the desert and asked it to be more specific, hoping to get better results. I did get better results, but the build was way too simple. I mean, who does bro think I am? So I asked it for a more complex building and it came up with a desert temple. But hey, I asked for it, so let's go. The steps were basically the exact same as for the previous build, but there was yet another problem. It didn't mention how many blocks the base should be, even though I told it it's the boss. I figured it probably forgot and decided to ask it directly. ChatGPT doesn't seem to have enough charisma as a boss, but on the bright side, he's a really nice guy. Anyway, I went with the 15 by 10 for a small temple. I continued building the temple for a few more minutes, but then realized how bad it actually looked. So I decided to try something else. ChatGPT told me I should build a lighthouse on the coast, which sounded great until I noticed it keeps telling me I should build rectangular shapes for the base. But hey, I just follow orders. The base size seemed to be reasonable enough, however, when it got to the walls I started thinking ChatGPT doesn't really know how to build yet. I finished building the lighthouse and oh boy, that has to be one of my best buildings ever. For comparison, I decided to build a lighthouse by myself using a circle shape, following a YouTube tutorial by Munchuk to get an even better result. Looking at both of the builds, it is clear that ChatGPT isn't a great Minecraft builder, but I'm sure it will improve. I did not want to quit yet, so I figured I should get an AI to show me a visual of the builds. To do that, I used Midjourney AI. I asked it to generate some builds and it came up with insane results. I knew I had to be more specific though, so I told it I want a small project, but despite my request, Midjourney kept generating big builds, which were still very impressive nonetheless. I decided to be even more specific and asked it if it can teach me how to build a house, and it came up with very nice results. I got to the building and I must admit I enjoyed it way more than I did with ChatGPT. It took me no more than 10 minutes to complete and I was pretty happy with the final result. The next day, I asked ChatGPT what I should build next and generated the ideas using Midjourney AI. The first suggestion was a shelter. I picked my favorite one and got to the building. It took me no more than 5 minutes to complete, but honestly, I wasn't quite happy with the result. On the other hand, if you choose to add walls, it can look rather nice. The second suggestion was a flower garden. I picked my favorite one and got to the building, but I tweaked it a bit so the player could walk through the garden. It didn't come out as I expected, but the idea is really nice. I'm sure there is a better way to build it. The third suggestion was a simple farm. The results were really nice, but they weren't as simple as I expected. I took the challenge anyway and built about half of the entire project. I mean, it's nice, but if I were to build a simple farm, I'd follow a tutorial on YouTube. Overall, the idea is really nice. The fourth suggestion was a bridge. I picked the one that had fewer curves and built it in less than 5 minutes. It isn't the best bridge I had built, but it wasn't really bad either. Overall, it's a very simple bridge and it does its job. The fifth suggestion was a windmill. I don't think I have ever built a windmill before, so I picked the one I thought looked the easiest and spent about 10 minutes building it. The final result was fine, but I wasn't too happy about it. But at the end of the day, I am not really good at building, so I guess it's fine. I tried copying the exact same style as in the image, so that might also be why it looks a bit off place. The next suggestion was a fish pond. I expected it to generate a hole with water and fish, but it added a few tiny details to it. I didn't build the exact same shape, but I tried keeping it similar. The pond turned out to be pretty simple. I think it looks rather nice for a quick build. In fact, I will build it if I ever have to. The seventh suggestion was a tower watch. I have built 1 or 2 tower watches before, so let's see how it goes. I picked my favorite one and got to the building. The result wasn't that great. I did not complete the tower watch like most of the builds, but on the other hand, it isn't that bad. To get better details, I used walls to give it a nice effect. The eighth suggestion was a bakery. It generated some amazing builds. It was really hard to choose. I went with the one I found to be the easiest and started building it. Again, I did not complete it, but I have to say this has to be one of the builds I was most happy about. I love the colors and the look of this bakery, and honestly, I would enter it if I ever saw it on the streets. The final suggestion was a campsite. I chose the one with the least curves and started building it. In the generated image, the tent wasn't covered, so I decided to modify it a bit and kept the same style. The final result is okay, I guess. Overall, AI can help you build in Minecraft, but not exactly as you'd expect. ChatGPT wasn't great. If it barely knew how to build simple builds, I don't think it's a great idea to even try asking it for a complex project. Midjourney on the other hand was way better, but you can't fully rely on it. While it does give you some amazing visuals, you'll still have to figure out how to build it yourself to get the best results you can. At the end of the day, I think AI can help you get inspiration, but not teach you exactly how to build. If you want to learn how to build, it's best to keep looking on YouTube or any other platform.